Our session is by Kyla Jemison. Kyla is a metadata librarian at the University of Toronto, and they are working with special formats. She is interested in music and audio-visual cataloging and how metadata affects discovery. Kyla, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And hi, thanks everyone for being here at the very start of the conference. It's a little intimidating to go first, but this is a wonderful conference and I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, so in late 2024, I was faced with a small-ish backlog of Blu-rays and DVDs that did not have existing records in connection. We were on a push to clear out these shelves as they were needed for other things. And we'd already done all the very popular movies and the things that were easy to catalog. What remained was about one shelf of movies from smaller vendors. Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. What remained was one shelf of movies from mostly smaller vendors, some restorations of older and rare movies, and about half a shelf of classical music performances like operas, ballets, and concerts. It was immediately clear to me that these discs often contained multiple works, and in that case, it might make more sense to catalog them as works first and then look at the instance. And so cataloging in BIBFRAME forces you to think about the work contained in the publication and catalog the work separate from that publication. While BIBFRAME is shaped by the IFLA LRM model, it does not perfectly align. The information related to work and expression are collapsed into the BIBFRAME work, while the manifestation becomes the instance and the item matches with the item. For films, this works really well because the line between the LRM work and expression is always complicated for these kinds of works. After I joined the ALMA linked data focus group, I was looking for a set of materials I could catalog in Sinopia to build my skills in that environment, and to create useful records that could hopefully be used as real records in my library catalog. So I wanted to use real materials for my collection, and this complicated video disc collection provided a good finite set of materials that I could take a look at. And it was kind of fun to explore how to describe these materials in BibFrame. So when I first started this pilot project, I thought that it would be much easier to work in BibFrame and link data when cataloging these video discs containing multiple works or multiple expressions. And in some cases, it was very clear. The two covers on the left represent multi-movie sets from Vinegar Syndrome, a niche Blu-ray firm that contain 2 or more movies in each item. In BibFrame, it's very easy to catalog each of these movies as a work and then put them together in an instance record. And then I had these film performance type movies in our backlog that also needed cataloging. These contained multiple works, sometimes by multiple composers, and all of these works and performances needed to be represented together. So that was a similar problem, but not quite the same. So I decided to catalog them all in BibFrame. The only BibFrame editor I had access to at the time was Sinopia. Sinopia is a linked data environment where users can create metadata and practice working in linked data, developed by the Linked Data for Production Pathway to Implementation project. As part of the Ex Libris Linked Data Focus Group, I was using the development environment, which is well used enough to be populated with lots of useful templates. For this project, I used the PCC BF2 work moving image template to catalog the works, the PCC BF2 instance monograph template for the instances, and the PCC BF2 item monograph template for the items. Thank you so much to the PCC folks who created these. They were very helpful for me getting started here. One of the real struggles that I had was that I couldn't find any examples of works like these in Sinopia in video or audio format that contained multiple works, because the way that audio and video formats contain other works is a little bit different than how textual formats contain different works. So there's a lot that I am still learning here. I think the LD4 community is kind enough to understand that I'm not here as an expert. I'm just here to show what I did, and I'm hoping to get some input and have a conversation about how we model these kinds of things in BibFrame and in Sinopia in particular. So multiple films in one publication, multiple BibFrame works in one BibFrame instance, turned out to be pretty straightforward. I created a work record for each film contained in the item and then created an instance with information about the publisher, publication date, format, and so on, that I could then say contained each of those works. This item here contains two Mexican punksploitation films, Intrépidos Punks and its sequel, La Venganza de los Punks. Both films are in English with optional, in Spanish with optional English subtitles. There's some overlap in the cast and crew, and both films have similar subjects. Those are all work level attributes in BIBFRAME, so those details were entered in the work template in Sinopia. I then used the Videodiscs template, the instance record, which contains the title for the combined set, information about the publication and distribution, the extent of the physical resource, the UPC identifier, notes about what this particular instance contains, in addition to the two works, like the special features, and encoding video and sound characteristics and system requirements for the discs themselves. To clarify my understanding of all this, I tried to map out some of the records that into the BIBFRAME ontology. So for this one, you can see that we have two works with the titles on the right here, and they each have a relationship, and that relationship is that they share an instance together. Sorry, I did not phrase that super great. So the items in the pale blue boxes are entities. This pale brown one is the property, and the items in the white box are the values. So I only put the titles here, so it's kind of standing in for the larger value there. I hope this makes sense. We're going to look at a few of these diagrams as we go through here today, because I thought it was a helpful way to clarify the relationships. Okay, my next example was given a unique title of its own, Lost Picture Show by the publisher Vinegar Syndrome. In the Sinopia view here, we can see that it shows that this instance has relationships with 4 works listed below, the 4 movies that are contained in this instance. Like the previous example, I cataloged each of the 4 movies as a work on its own, and then brought them together in the instance record by stating that the instance record is an instance of each of these works. This one was a little bit more complicated because the movies were less common, and it was tricky sometimes to get a handle on what they actually were. 3 are B-movie thrillers, very gory and violent, and they were pretty straightforward. But the 4th one was a children's fantasy musical, which seemed a little bit out of place. The publisher and IMDb share the same synopsis about a boy who runs away to somewhere where they meet some rare blue apes who help them in their struggle against the evil swampies. The title given on the go back. There we go. On here, it was called The Pirates of Cannibal Isle, which does not necessarily map with that particular title or that particular synopsis. So I had to do a bit of research. It turns out it is the same movie. It's also known as The Rare Blue Apes of Cannibal Isle, and a slightly funnier title that comes up in the next slide. And almost all of these movies required some name authority work, which was a little bit tricky to do because I was not cataloging this in connection, so I could not create those names. So I had to enter them as literals in Sinopia instead of using the controlled vocabulary. Okay, so this one was a little bit messy, but I did my best. And so I mapped out a little bit here to learn more about the way BIBFRAME thinks about titles. So we have this work, and it has a title class, and it has one property called main title, which in this case was the Pirates of Cannibal Isle. And it also had a subclass of variant title, which had the title Mr. Quack Quack and the Rare Blue Apes. It's a little bit strange. I think Mr. Quack Quack was the boy's imaginary friend. I don't know. I didn't actually watch the movie. That one took a bit of puzzling out. Okay. Despite being the simplest of the classical music recordings I looked at, this particular classical music performance film took a bit of thinking and discussion with my Ex Libris Link data cataloging team. I started out as a music cataloger, so my first instinct around this piece was that I would need to begin with the Bach work, the sonatas and partitas that he wrote in the 1700s, and then create another related work that was Midori performing those works, and then another work that was the video recording of that performance. This was further complicated in my head because she has also released an audio recording of these compositions, although the audio recording and the video recording are not the same performance. But my buddies in my dating group helped me out. And it turns out it was much simpler than that. I could record all the details about the film in a work record, the title, the creator Midori, along with the director, producer, and production companies, and the recording details. And then I could add related works for the works performed, which makes total sense when I think about it like that. In a mark record, these compositions performed in the film would be in the 700 fields. And so I can use that same vocabulary to bring them into the Sinopia record here. So the added entries this movie is an expression of the composition by Bach. And so I tried to map that out in the next one here. Oh, thank you, Sarah. There we go. Okay, so I tried to map out a model of the relationship with the expression here. I'm not entirely certain I've got this correct, but it helped it make sense in my head. So we have this work, which is this movie of Midori plays Bach sonatas and partitas. It has a relationship saying that it is related to this work, Bach Johann Sebastian, Sonaten and Partiten, and that relationship is the relationship of expression of. So I hope that is a little bit helpful. Yeah. The next one is a recording of a performance by the ensemble Pygmalion with a group of singers. And that whole group was performing works that were likely performed during the funeral ceremony of Louis XVI, the Sun King. So there are two data-heavy sections here, the contributors and the related works. Having figured out related works and expressions for the previous one, this one was a little bit less intimidating there. So I'm going to focus on the contributors in this one because we looked at expression of for the previous example. I found that Sinopia really made this part very easy. As long as your contributors exist in the Library of Congress name authority file. In the contribution section, you add a new creator or contributor, type in their name, and it will search the authority file for what it thinks might be right. For people with exceptionally generic names, I did have a few of those. I found it better to get the correct form of name for the person from classification web and then search for that here. But other than that, it was very smooth sailing. There was also a lookup to assign the relationship designator or the role of this contributor, which is much easier than looking it up when I'm doing mark cataloging. And so that was really helpful because some of the roles in this film were not typical film roles, like there's a conductor, and I don't do a lot of audio recordings. There's people related to the staging of it all, not just the filming of it all. So that was pretty neat. There were a few other movies as well, but these were the ones that I just wanted to highlight. And then I'm going to wrap up here by talking about some things that were helpful and some challenges and plans for the future. Oh, sorry. Yes, there's my BIBFRAME mapping for this one. It's a little bit more chaotic because there were a lot more boxes. So as a longtime mark and a CR2 and RDA cataloger, I would have been fine cataloging these in those standards, but cataloging them in BIBFRAME helped me think more about the distinction between the work and the instance and how information is structured in BIBFRAME and communicated in Sinopia. In many ways, this is still a learning process for me. I don't fully understand BIBFRAME or Sinopia, and I'm still learning to explore the documentation for both of them, but I am learning. This project provided some good examples that made me think critically about my understanding of the conceptual model that underlies BIBFRAME and the way that manifests in Sinopia. Sinopia as a platform was incredibly helpful in guiding me through the templates and providing links to the original RDA toolkit for when I had questions. The templates are awesome. Thank you so much to the people who developed those and to all the guidance offered by Kelly and the PCC Sinopia Affinity Group. Developing the records into this presentation gave me useful experience digging back through the BIBFRAME guidance and trying to lay it out visually. and trying to apply the RDA principles within a BibFrame structure, which is going to be so important for cataloging in the future. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to learn some of that now. I also had some challenges. Sometimes it's hard to decide what the work actually is, especially with things where it's a little bit blurred, like musical performances and sometimes with films. Um, I struggled to find a way to add more than one language. So a lot of these films had subtitles. I wasn't sure how to add those. So that's something I want to dig into a little bit further, especially because the language property tends to go with the work. But the for movies in particular, the language of subtitles is often at the expression level because it's part of the publication, not the work itself. So I think there's a bit more to explore there. Um, Learning to use Sinopia was a bit of a challenge. Getting access to it and signing up. I'm in all three Sinopias now, which feels a little bit excessive. And remembering where I'm working is sometimes tricky. Um, but there's a lot of good work going out there and lots to learn with community, which is really great. I don't know why community learning is under challenges. I think I meant to put that under a positive thing later. Um, yes, my future plans and recommendations are that while we have options right now, consider cataloging in BibFrame as a learning exercise. It is not always easy to get it from the Sinopia editor or another BibFrame editor into your Mark system, but spending the time thinking about it, cataloging it in Sinopia can help you make it go faster when you catalog it in Mark. Um, I am still hoping to get the API connection from Sinopia to Alma, which is what my institution uses. So I'm hoping to learn more at this conference to convince my ITS team that we should do that. Because I'd like to do some more cataloging like this. I think that would be really great. And I would like to bring in some more of my peers. We have a lot of peer learning groups across my institution for things like Indigenous metadata and serials and AI, and I think this would be a really good opportunity for people to try things out and talk. I know that I have learned a lot from working with my little Alma Lake Data group, which is Heather Pretty, Kim Taylor, Trevor Howe, and Allison Haselar. So thank you so much to that group for answering all my silly questions and helping me learn. Um, and I think there's just lots of learning opportunities for us all as we proceed toward a linked data future. So thank you so much for being here today. And I am open to questions, comments, and suggestions about anything I have talked about. Thank you. I am going to stop sharing.
You can actually leave that slide up if you want with your
Okay,
contact information for a few minutes.
sure.
That way people can still have it. We did have some questions.
I see.
So we will get started with those. And then I just had a new one. If you haven't got your question in, go ahead and get it in. And my co-chair will help me get those. Okay, so question one, does Letterboxd offer good descriptions for rare-ish films and TV shows? Sometimes I struggle with that.
Letterboxd was helpful for me, especially in this one. I see Sarah Adams here is linked to the Letterboxd record for this. I was bopping around between Letterboxd, IMDb, Wikipedia, and like film nerd forums, trying to figure this one out because it's not a good movie, it seems, but it's like people are very interested in it. Um, yes, and again, like for movies like this one, like it's a movie in English, and yet it has so many confusing titles, some of which have nothing to do, it seems, with the summary that you get. We've also been getting a lot of like Italian or Japanese films where the title on the box and in the summary and everything is in English, but it's not always the most popular English translation of the title. And so I've been going through these same kind of sources trying to figure out like what's the original title, what's the original translation, watching the movie to see what actually shows up on the screen in the subtitles or in the dubbing. And it's yeah, movies take a lot of research sometimes.
Okay, question two. If there is also an audio-only record Midori, same performance. Would that also have the relationship related to both the sonatas and the audio-visual recording as works?
It would definitely be related to the like composition of the sonatas because it's a performance of them. I think it could be related to the video as well, but it was not the same performance. Like the audio was a separate time, I guess, studio space, than the video recording. But like it feels like they should be related, right? I just don't know how we would describe that relationship.
Okay. Question 3. So, do you make and edit records in Sinopia?
I do. I can't get them out of Sinopia right now, but I can create them from the templates and save them and edit them there. Um, if we have time, I can stop sharing for a minute and log myself into Sinopia and pull one of these up.
Yeah,
Um,
you
okay,
have about
sure.
9 minutes.
Okay, I will stop that.
And
And
I will read a few comments while you do that.
sure.
One said, I'm curious about utilizing aggregating works in BibFrame for these. That might be helpful for some of these if they're published as Blu-rays and DVDs.
Hmm.
Another comment said, I'm grateful for these diagrams. They are so helpful and legible. I like to read comments too. It's important to know.
Yeah.
A lot of times we just get the questions. I'm
Okay.
done.
Okay, I am in. Let me come back and zoom and share again. This one. So this is, I'm logged into the development environment in Sinopia. It has a dashboard, an editor, and then the resource templates that you can choose from. So I've opened up the Lost Picture Show one for editing here, and we can see here the first class is the class instance of, and we have Beware the Black Widow, Red Midnight Violated, and Pirates of Cannibal Isle. And I can change that if I wanted to. And then hit save up at the top, but I won't do that because that's not the title there.
Question 4. Is it possible to take Sinopia descriptions and convert them to Mark using LC tools?
I think LC has tools that can do that for LC people. I don't know that tools exist for the rest of us. Um, yes, and I see the next question here. Yeah, we're in Ex Libris's Alma system, which
Okay.
does have a connection, but my ITS is being cautious, and that's fine. But
And
uh,
Kaylee put in the chat that Sinopia has its own converter, own Mark converter based on the LC
oh,
converter.
I'm gonna
Um,
do some looking up about that.
are you planning to try this in Ex Libris BF editor in Alma?
Yes, but I'll probably take a look at different movies. Um, because there's always more movies in my backlog.
Okay, and then the last question I had listed, and my co-presenter might have one that I missed. Have you looked at Marva? It seems so vastly different than Sinopia impressions.
I have not. The only ones I've seen for BibFrame editing is Sinopia and the Alma BibFrame editor now. Um,
Okay.
so yeah. Can
We just
sorry, this is a question for other people here, but can non-LC people take a look at Marva?
I'm gonna throw it in the chat. Is it open for non-LC people? Yes, you can access it at
Oh,
bibframe.org. Nice.
awesome. Thank you. I will take a look at that.
It is open to
Oh,
everyone. It is a little
and
hidden, but you can.
I see Mackenzie has shared a link to the LC's BibFrame to Mark converter. Awesome. So
Yeah.
many new toys to play with. This is awesome. Thank you guys so much.
There was one more question that popped up. Did you find anything useful for capturing the information in BibFrame or in Sinopia? I'm doing a lightning talk tomorrow about capturing system requirements in Wikipedia or Wikidata based on mark records
Oh,
and your experience.
No, I mean, like I catalog a lot of movies every month. We get a big box full. So I'm kind of familiar with the properties and what to look for, I think. Um, but I am looking forward to your talk then, because I would love to know how to do all this in Wikidata as well. And while we're hyping future sessions, we have MCO in Wikidata tomorrow as well. Lots of Wikidata happening tomorrow. Um, yeah, it's a interesting way to model things as well.
Okay. Thank you for sharing this awesome presentation. We appreciate it.